Okay. Hello all. We are today looking at Assam's journey from NFHS 4 round to the NFHS 5 round in terms of how the state has performed in respect of the children's nutritional status. Assam is one of the largest states among the seven sisters, and it's instructive to see how it has performed. If you look at the data, it tells us that Assam has not been able to reduce the levels of child malnutrition between these two rounds significantly, but it has performed well when it comes to child mortality. The anemia levels have not shown any decline, but that's a separate story of implausibility, and we will come to that. Overall, however, Assam has some way to go or some way to traverse before its districts can aspire to become malnutrition free or Kuposhan Mukt. We also notice that there are considerable regional variations within Assam, which is a large state itself, in terms of the performance of different districts. So it is important to map this journey and appreciate the need for a more decentralized planning within the state itself. While doing this analysis, we have used the two sites, NFHS4.indiagis.org for the NFHS 4 data and maps, and NFHS5.indiagis.org for the NFHS 5 data and maps. So let us see what has happened to underweight. We see slippage, we see considerable slippage across most of the districts. The data range has worsened at both the ends from 15.8% children being underweight. It has jumped to 19.6% children being underweight on the lower end. And the upper end has moved from 39.5 to something like 52.5. While doing this analysis, we have used the same cutoff for NFHS 4 and same cutoff for NFHS 5 because we are comparing the state's journey vis-a-vis itself. It's not a comparison with other states or with the all India levels. When it comes to stunting, we see a bit of a mixed picture. The southeastern part and a cluster around Kamrup, they are showing gains. The lower data range has reduced. On the lower side, from 24.6% children being malnourished, it has marginally come down to 22.6. But that's a very marginal decline. We go to wasting. We again see slippages, except Kamrup, Nalbari and Shonitpur. Now this is something which will again come, but there's a sharp worsening in the data range. If you look at NFHS 4, the lowest found was 6.2% children being wasted. It has jumped to 11.6. It's almost a double figure. And from 30.6% children being wasted on the upper bound in NFHS 4, this has gone to 42.9. Now that's considerable. Let us look at what has happened to severe wasting. Severe wasting, we again see a story of considerable slippage across the state, particularly the northeastern tip and the southern districts. It's a matter of worry because most states might not have reduced stunting or underweight, but wasting by and large we have seen a reduction. Here it's the other way around. If you look at the data range, in NFHS 4, the district with lowest severe wastage was 0.8% children or less than 1% children being severely wasted, which could have created hope for getting a severe wasting free district. But this range has jumped to almost 3.6, threefold, and the upper bound has moved from 12.7 to 27.2, is more than double. This is something which is a matter of worry, and the state needs to seriously look at this issue. However, one must give credit where it is due. If you look at the data for infant and under 5 mortality, you will see there is a considerable reduction. And interestingly, this reduction has happened both in the urban segment and in the rural segment. Now, this is important, and this has come against a backdrop of persisting malnutrition, which is interesting because often malnutrition is considered as a major contributing factor to child mortality or infant mortality. Here we see a case where infant mortality as well as child mortality has come down, and fairly significantly, while the child malnutrition levels have persisted. Now, this gap, I think, would require some further scrutiny and analysis as to why this might be happening. How does the anemia story unfold? We look at children in the 6 to 59 age group. We see a highly implausible story. What we see actually is that during NFHS 4, the lower bound was 24% children being anemic in the 6 to 59 month age group, and the highest was 52.6. Now in NFHS 5, the lowest is 53.3. That means the best performing district in NFHS 5 is worse than the best performing district in NFHS 4, which is completely implausible. So if we use the same cutoff that we have used for NFHS 4, the entire state turns red. You can see it on a map. What we did was an interesting exercise, was to give a much higher cutoff or a much more charitable cutoff, just to see if there's a semblance of similarity. And that semblance of similarity comes at extremely high cutoffs, below 70% you have to color it green. Now this is not at all plausible, so one would not take the NFHS 5 anemia data for Assam very seriously and look for other corroborative evidence. We take this point further by presenting the data rather than the maps for NFHS 4 and NFHS 5 in 4 different population groups: children who are below 60 months, all women in the 15 to 9 year age group, pregnant women in the 15 to 49 year age group, and non-pregnant women in the 15 to 49 year age group, because for them cutoffs are different compared to what is there for the pregnant. So what we see is the lower bounds have all jumped very substantially between NFHS 4 and NFHS 5. And as we had seen in the case of children, that the best performing district during NFHS 5 shows figures which are worse than the worst performing district of NFHS 4, which, as I said, is not plausible. The upper bounds have also jumped sharply. So this is something which will require a separate scrutiny altogether. What we see overall, Assam has shown considerable slippage when it comes to nutritional status of its children. Particularly worrying is the increase in the levels of wasting. However, the child mortality, infant as well as under 5 mortality, has reduced both in the urban segment and the rural segment. Anemia story continues to remain implausible, as we have seen in the other cases also, analysis of other states. So overall, Assam has a long way to traverse before looking at the possibility of a entire district becoming malnutrition free or portion mukt. But other states in the northeast or among the seven sisters have actually fared better as far as this moving close to the goalpost of becoming malnutrition free is considered, but that is a subject matter of a separate analysis. Assam could perhaps look at some of the districts, one or two or three which have performed all right, and probably look at a ICDS project within that district to see if that can be made malnutrition free, because that will give confidence to rest of the system that this feat is achievable in Assam. We leave the viewers with this thought, then move to analysis of another state. Thank you very much.